of middle school boys kept records of a teacher who made girls in their class incredibly uncomfortable with his inappropriate comments and requests. And it actually ended up being incredibly important evidence to pursue a case against this pervy teacher. Now, those records are being used in an investigation against the teacher who was put on leave for allegedly stalking a 13-year-old girl. So while there are definitely some dark elements to this story, there's a massive positive element which involves boys who are standing up for their female classmates. It's really nice to see that. Now, here are the details. So a group of 8 middle school boys in North Kingstown, Rhode Island, became concerned as they watched this teacher make their female classmates incredibly uncomfortable. For instance, he would leer at girls in class. He would give them nicknames like Sweetheart and Sunshine, and he would even ask them to dance for him. Now, the teacher, who was also a coach and was involved with extracurricular activities, had brazenly admitted to the students that he'd faced parents' complaints for nearly 30 years, and there was nothing anyone could do about him. And sure enough, when students went to school administrators about their concerns about this teacher, nothing was really being done about it. The students were ignored, and the allegations were just kind of cast aside. Now, one of the students who spoke to the media said this of the girls in the classrooms, okay? He says, sometimes they'd laugh, sometimes they'd just kind of sit there awkwardly. Even the ones that said he was creepy laughed because they were obviously not trying to tick him off or anything. So they're just fake laughing, awkwardly laughing. And I feel that so deeply because I know what that's like, where someone's making you uncomfortable and you don't know how to handle it or what to do about it. You kind of feel powerless in that situation. You just kind of like laugh it off. And so that's what one of the boys had said to the media. Now, in 2021, when they were in 7th grade, the group of boys decided, okay, no one's paying attention to our concerns here. So why don't we create a Discord channel, which they dubbed a pedo database, to keep record of the teacher's creepy behavior, okay? One of the first messages in the chat actually read, quote, "This is now the official chat that we will later use as evidence against the teacher about pedophilia in case anything does come up in the future, and we do turn out to be right," okay? And here's a screenshot of what the Discord channel looked like. They're sharing their experiences in various accounts. During COVID, as they attended class online, they opened the Discord channel on a split screen and document the teacher's comments in real time, which included statements like, "You all love me, so choose love. You got to stand up and dance now. And everyone in bathing suits tomorrow." This is a middle school teacher. And once they were back to in-person classes, the teacher asked one girl to take off her shoes and try wiggling her toes without moving her pinkies. One of the boys said, "I felt bad for the girls because sometimes it just seems like it was a humiliating thing. He'd play a song and he'd make one of them get up and dance." And then in April of 2022, he was escorted out of the classroom and placed on leave. The superintendent said that the investigation was ongoing due to allegations that this teacher had stalked a 13-year-old girl that he had coached and had been inappropriate, and he had been inappropriate with other girls as well. The girls' families had complained to the previous superintendent, but he wasn't really willing to do anything. And it wasn't until they threatened to get a restraining order that the school district finally took some action. And so it's now being investigated. And thanks to what these boys did in documenting all of the questionable, uncomfortable, terrible things he was doing in class, there is some evidence to help corroborate what the female students are saying about the way they were treated within the classroom. Cenk.
Yeah, so this story is, I think, a little bit of a roller coaster. Okay, so it seems pretty clear now, but we do have to be careful about these things because that Discord is public. And in the beginning of the story, you hear about the Sweetheart and the Sunshine. And I say, well, yeah, but there's a lot of older Americans that use words like sweetheart and sunshine, and some non-older Americans as well. And so I don't want kids starting Discord channels about how their teachers might be pedophiles based on things that are flimsy. But then, as you read on, it becomes clearer and clearer. First of all, parents complained that he was stalking that girl at the softball game. She's in middle school. That's not just a little red flag. That's a giant red flag, right? See some of those details, have them get up and dance. Okay, well, I mean, that could be innocent. But then, everybody in bathing suits tomorrow, that's super weird. Okay, but maybe he was just joking. Take off your shoes or socks or whatever and wiggle your toes for me? Nah. Okay, that guy's got issues. Okay, that's not a normal thing. That's not like, oh, he said sweetheart. Well, it could have been innocent. That's a super weird, pretty overtly sexual thing to ask one of your students to do. But besides which, I was already done when the parents complained, and the school's like, oh, we have a teacher potentially stalking your little daughter? Don't worry about it. So, as it turned out, what they did wound up being helpful, and I love that the boys stuck up for the girls in their classroom. So that's a great part of it.
Yes. Okay, so let me jump in on that because honestly, that was the reason why I wanted to talk about this story in the first place. There are a lot of terrible things happening all across the country, and it's really difficult to see some of the areas where there has been progress, right? And I'm not going to make a blanket statement because I know that there's still a lot of work to do when it comes to men and boys sticking up for everyone, including females in their lives, in this case, girls in the classroom. But I remember being in middle school, and I remember one particularly questionable male teacher who made me uncomfortable, who made other girls in the classroom uncomfortable, and the boys would joke about it. The culture was just different back then, where it was just widely accepted that, hey, if you're a girl, if you're a woman, this is the way you get treated, and it's funny. It's funny, as long as it's not like full blown, I hate to use this word, but like as long as it's not rape, like, yeah, who cares if she's uncomfortable? We get to talk about her body. We get to talk about, all sorts of inappropriate things that make her uncomfortable. And she just has to take it because that's what the culture is. Like that was the feel when I was in middle school. And to see these middle school boys care about their female classmates so much that like they didn't give up. They went and complained to administrators. Administrators told them to go pound sand. And they decided, no, we're not going to give up. We want to document what's going on. And it could be useful in the future. And guess what? It ended up being incredibly useful in the future. In fact, right now, that Discord log documenting all of those uncomfortable moments is being used by the local U.S. Attorney's Office. It's being used by the Rhode Island Department of Child, Youth, and Families and the State Education Department and the lawyer conducting an internal investigation for the school. So it ended up being incredibly useful. And I want to make a broader point, okay, that goes beyond this one particular story. Wouldn't it be amazing if we lived in a society where we looked out for each other? We looked out for everyone, regardless of what our religion is, what our background is, what our political beliefs are. If we actually saw one another as humans first and we looked out for one another first, it's okay to have disagreements as we obviously do, and we talk about on the show on a daily basis. But I just love seeing people come together for justice, and that's what these boys did. It's amazing.
Yeah. So again, I'm going to say be careful of what you make public unless you're absolutely sure. But having said that, yeah, Anna, to double down on what you're saying, from a male perspective, when I was growing up, I don't know, it's not just male. I was pretty naive, right? So you're going to be shocked to find out that not a lot of teachers hit on me. So I didn't even understand that was a concept. Like it didn't, for a little kid, like it didn't even occur to me that the male teachers would hit on the students. That I found that so crazy. And I know that for a fact because as it turned out in my senior year, we found out that the health teacher had actually slept with one of the students in our junior high. And I was blown away by that. I was like, what in the world? Right? And so
what happened to him? What happened to him? Did he ever get prosecuted for that?
So I know he got fired instantly, and I didn't. It was a long, long time ago, so I didn't follow up to see if he went to jail or not. But it was a big deal, and he got caught. But it was not like flirting. It was no. He took her to his summer home, and they had.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, and so, anyways, so now that the kids are cognizant of it and looking out for each other and making sure it doesn't happen, instead of piling on to taunts, of boys versus girls, etc. But that's a great day in America.
Yeah.
That part of it is totally heartwarming and way to look out for your, fellow students. I love that part.
All right, this is unrelated. We're moving on. Bed Bath & Beyond is closing 150 stores. Not sad day in America. Not a good day. Sad day in America. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's just move on.
I have a big day tomorrow. A little bit of Home Depot, a little bit of Bed Bath & Beyond, but decided now that they're closing, I'm going streaking tonight.
We're eventually going to get to a point where there will be no brick and mortar stores, and I think that's a little bit of a problem. There's a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, I know. So as you know, they get hit with a double whammy. Retail stores have problems because of the internet, but also private equity guys buy them and purposely bankrupt them half the time. So I don't know if that's what happened to Bed Bath & Beyond. It's as much of a mystery as whether anyone got my old school joke a second ago. Okay.
What was your joke? You made a sports joke on the show like last week or the week before. And obviously it flew right over my head because, Cenk, you can't be doing sports jokes with your co-host who doesn't know anything about sports, including whether or not a fantasy football magazine is about fantasy players.
If it has elves and orcs. That's actually, I literally thought of that a couple of times throughout the week and laughed. So thank you. Thank you for that. I told Pro, he laughed. He thought it was the funniest thing that ever happened.
But Christian was listening in on that episode, and later he came to me. He's like, "Did you at all hear like Cenk's joke?" And then he like repeated the joke. I was like, "I don't know who that person is. Who is that person?" It was like some basketball coach or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on.
Right. Okay, let's punt on it. And
I kind of know what that is. It's in football, right? Punting. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know some stuff.